Heather,
Soraya,
Emmy,
Bailey,
Trish.
My name is Haley Weideman, and I'm doing my persuasive speech on why college universities should be using their platform to spread awareness about sexual assault. Sexual assault has become a common thing that occurs on college campuses. According to nsvrc.org, 1 in 5 women and 1 in 16 men are sexually assaulted while in college. RAINN.org states that the definition of sexual assault is any sexual behavior or contact that occurs without consent of the victim. Some common forms of sexual assault include unwanted sexual touching and rape. When you think of college, one of the biggest things that comes to mind is drinking and partying. This also happens to be one of the biggest factors in sexual assaults that takes place on campus. With many students attending universities, I think that they should be using their platform to educate students on the factors that can contribute to sexual assault. This should also include ways to make students feel safe and protected when reporting this crime. One of the reasons this assault goes unreported is because in a lot of cases the attacker has not gotten punished. They usually get away with a slap on the wrist, which makes the victim feel like it was pointless to report the sexual assault. One of the biggest cases of sexual assault that shocked all of America was the Brock Turner case. The details of this case enraged many people because of his light sentence. Brock Turner was a student at Stanford University where he participated on the swim team. On January 18, 2015, Brock was caught in the act, sexually assaulting an unconscious female behind a dumpster. 2 men walking by saw Turner, they tackled him to the ground and held him down until authorities got to the scene. The victim was unconscious the entire time. She finally regained consciousness at about 4:15 in the morning. When she woke up, her blood alcohol concentration was 0.12%. They estimated her BAC to be around 0.22% at the time of the attack. Even though there was solid evidence against Turner, that still was not enough to put him in jail for good. The prosecution argued that Brock should be sentenced to 6 years in prison. Instead, the judge ruled that he should be only sentenced to 6 months, but it gets worse. Turner never actually served the full 6 months. He only served 3. His family argued that this would ruin his life because he was a student athlete. After this short time in jail, Brock returned to his home in Ohio. He had to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. This means that he cannot live within 1,000 feet of playgrounds or schools. Anyone living within 1,250 feet of his home address will be notified. He also had to complete 3 years of probation and a year of a sex offender management program. The Brock Turner example is a huge reason why many victims choose not to report their sexual assault. I can't even begin to imagine everything Brock's victim went through just to have people defend him and have him receive a light sentence. If attackers were actually punished, more victims would come forward because they would feel safe and have faith in our justice system. College universities should also educate its students on the dangers of alcohol. Moving out and attending college means freedom. For many kids, college also means drinking and partying, but there are dangers that come along with alcohol. There is also a stereotype that college and drinking are linked, and it is somewhat true. Alcohol travels into your stomach and your bloodstream and eventually makes its way to your whole body. This starts to affect your muscles, mood, and brain. There are many side effects of being intoxicated. Some examples are drowsiness, loss of balance, poor judgment, and vision problems. This becomes a problem when it comes to sexual assault because alcohol makes it harder to give consent. According to alcohol.org, about 50% of sexual assaults involve alcohol. 43% of sexual assaults involved alcohol use by the victim, and 69% involved use by the perpetrator. As you can see from these statistics, alcohol is one of the most common factors in sexual assaults. When either one or both parties are intoxicated, it is impossible to get clear consent. With victims being afraid to report their assault and alcohol being such a popular factor, sexual assaults continue to still occur. I do not believe that banning alcohol will solve this problem. Students will still manage to find a way to get their hands on it. I think it would be helpful for universities to have classes or presentations on the dangers of drinking and factors of sexual assault. U.S. News states that at Elon University in North Carolina, incoming students are required to take an online course before they even step foot on campus. This course teaches students the effects that alcohol has on their behavior and ethics of relationships. Requiring students to take this class before they even come to the campus is a great way to introduce them to the dangers of alcohol and sexual assault. This isn't a subject that should be brushed under the rug. It needs to be talked about, and universities should require that. This would also show the students that the university cares and takes sexual assault allegations seriously. This could help make it easier for students to report their own assaults. Another great way to spread awareness and safety is through fraternities. U.S. News explains that the University of Virginia has put new rules in place for parties. They require at least 3 fraternity members to stay sober to monitor everyone's behavior at parties that contains alcohol. This rule also states that alcohol must be served from a central location by a sober member. At their larger parties, alcohol can only be served by a licensed bartender, and a security guard must be present. This is a way to ensure that there are sober students at parties with alcohol. They can make sure that everyone is behaving and no one gets taken advantage of. If all fraternities followed these rules, it could help lower the percentage of sexual assaults that take place at universities. As you can see, I believe that 2 of the biggest factors in sexual assault are alcohol and victims being afraid to come forward because of the lack of justice. Universities have hundreds of students that step foot on their campus each year, and they should be using their platform to help combat this issue. Creating online classes, groups, or even presentations can help spread information and awareness about sexual assault. If students are aware of the factors, they will know what to look for and how to be cautious when they are on campus. Since fraternity houses are one of the biggest party spots on campus, requiring members to stay sober and serve alcohol will only create a more safe environment. It would be comforting to know that there are sober students around that are looking out for everyone at a party, or you can go to for help. I think that all universities should be stepping up and using their platform to create these rules and make a safe environment for their students. This doesn't mean that sexual assault on college campuses will come to a complete stop, but I believe that it can lower the chances of it happening.